Hi everybody, my name is Angie. Welcome back to my channel. So today I am going to be making a super simple, super quick project, headbands. So this is great if you sew with knits. If you don't sew with the knits, that's fine. It doesn't use that much fabric, but this is great for your knit scraps. So that is what I am going to be using today. I have a few pieces of just small knits. I made my niece a couple pair of shorts like a year ago, and I've had these knits sitting around and I wasn't sure what to do with them. They're like super stretchy. I think they're, maybe this is French terry. No, that's not right. I don't know what this is. Double brushed poly or something like that. I'm not sure. They're like legging fabric, basically. So that is what I'm going to be using. You don't need much, like I said. I'll put the amounts or the, dimensions of what you'll need in the description below, but I'm going to be cutting these to 18 inches long. So I did a test run and that worked perfectly with my head size. You can, test it out and see, take a piece and kind of wrap it around and see. But from what I've read, that is a pretty standard size that people can use. And there was enough wiggle room for smaller or bigger head size too. So 18 inches long. If you're doing one for a child, I would think probably like 12 to 15 inches would be good. But you may want to do a test run also if you're going to make one for a child just to see, because I'm not positive on those measurements. But 18 inches long by, I'm going to try 6 inches wide, and I will put a note if that isn't right. I did 4 inches on my last one and it was too narrow. 4 inches would probably be good on a child's, but for mine, I wanted a little bit thicker. So I'm going to try 6 and see how that goes. I think that should be fine though. So yeah, that is what I'm using here. So, and then you're also going to need, as you can see, I don't have my normal Juki straight stitch only sewing machine that I typically use. So I have my Brother sewing machine, which has different stitches on here, because we're going to need a zigzag stitch. And then just some clips and pins, typical other sewing stuff. But zigzag stitch is pretty necessary for this project. But other than that, all just basic sewing materials. So let's go ahead and get into it. All right, so I have my scrap piece of knit fabric sitting here, and I'm just gonna go ahead and give this a cut. If you are working with a knit that has bigger stretch one direction versus the other, you want the really stretchy direction to be the long one, because you want it to be able to stretch longer around your head versus wider across your head. All right, so I am gonna do, I need 18 inches by 6 inches, which happens to be the width of my ruler. Trimmed down a little bit. All right, and this piece probably won't get used, but I think I'm going to keep this piece, see if I can come up with some other use for that. It's a big enough piece, I don't want to waste it. All right, so now we got our 18 by 6 inch piece. So we're just going to go ahead and fold it right sides together, which I have this other piece. I always forget which side is the stretchy. Okay, so it rolls to the wrong side. Rolls to the wrong side. So that is right sides together. And then along the length of it, we'll just go ahead and clip. And then we'll go ahead and sew that at like a 1/4 inch seam allowance. We don't need anything huge. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and, like I said, sew this at a 1/4 inch seam allowance. I'm just kind of eyeballing it. Basically, I'm just using the edge of my presser foot as a guide for the seam allowance. And then for my settings on my sewing machine, for the stitch length, I am using a width of 3.5 millimeters and a stitch length of 1.4 millimeters. So that's just kind of the standard setting that is on my sewing machine for the zigzag stitch. So that's what I'm sticking with. So I'm going to start out at the beginning. Got my presser foot down. I am going to reverse a few stitches just as my back stitch. And then I'm gonna go ahead and just sew the whole length at a 1/4 inch seam allowance. Back stitch at the end, and then cut your threads. And on mine, you can see it kind of shifted a little bit. So I'm just gonna go ahead and take my scissors and just snip that off, just so that it's kind of flush with it now. Stretchy fabric shifts a little bit, so it's no big deal. All right, so now we have a little tube that looks like this with the zigzag stitch going all the way across. So now we just need to turn it right side out. So easiest way that I found is just stick your thumb all the way through and then pinch the end of it between your thumb and your pointer and just stick your pointer through, and then you can pull it right out. All right, and then I am gonna go ahead and take it over to my iron and just give it a press with the seam going down the center. All right, so I went ahead and pressed it with the iron, and we're not worried about like the seam, you know, folding on the inside one way or the other, just so that it's, you know, nice and flat, and we have crisp edges on the edges here. So what we're gonna do is fold it over or flip it over so that the center seam here is on the underside so we don't see it. Then we're gonna take the two ends and fold them together. But what we're gonna do is offset them so that the edge of this side of the fabric here lines up with the center seam back here. And then this piece here lines up with the center seam here. And then we're gonna go ahead and pinch it together, or fold this piece over so that it comes to the center mark here, and then fold this one back so that it comes to the center mark back here. And then it's just kind of sandwiched together just like this. So one of the pieces is folded together like this, and the other one is folded together like this, and they're pinching together on top of each other. And then we don't need a zigzag stitch for this one. We're just gonna go ahead and sew a straight stitch across there at an like a 1/4 inch seam allowance. The seam allowance on this doesn't matter so much because we're just gonna go ahead and trim the excess away. So I'm just gonna use a 1/4 inch and sew just across there. All right, so I'm gonna change my stitch back to a straight stitch. And we're gonna do a stitch length of, we'll do like 3.5, just because it is a bit thicker here. And again, I'm just using my presser foot as the edge of this, so I think that's about a 1/4 inch, but all right, so that is what we got. And we're just gonna go ahead and trim down the seam allowance here. Just like 1/8 of an inch or so. And any of the little puckers that are sitting out on the side here, like the corners, we'll kind of trim those back too. Okay, and then we can go ahead and we're just gonna flip it around so that that center seam is on the inside, and just kind of pull the sides out so that it hides that seam on the inside. And there we go. That is a super quick knotted headband. All right, so there we go. So let's try it out and see. There we go. Oh, you can see the knot. We'll just tuck it in a little bit, and there we go. Super quick, super cute. You can bust through these, I mean, without all the talking of the instructions of the video and everything, you can bust through these super quick. This would probably take like not even 5 minutes to make one of these. So these would be great to sell if you do craft fairs or, you know, super quick Christmas gifts. If you have a little Etsy shop, you know, these would be super cute, super quick. And like I said, super great. I'm saying super a million times. Very great for your like knit scraps. So if you're making leggings or, you know, anything with knits, these are great for your scraps that you have left over. And you could probably like piece 2 pieces together and fold them in half. Like, you know, possibilities are endless with this. Super cute. I'm saying super way too many times. Okay, I'm done. All right, well, there we go. That is the quick and easy knotted headband. Comes together so very fast, and it's just a fun little project to use up your scraps. So if you enjoyed this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up and leave a comment down below if you have any questions or comments or anything that you want to say. And make sure to subscribe to stay tuned, and if you hit the little bell, then you'll get notifications when I post a new video. Got some fun new projects that I'm going to be working on, so make sure to stay tuned for future videos. I'll see you next time. Bye!